Are you trying to monetize your ministry? Welcome back to Faith and Focus, the companion podcast to the TSA Weekly podcast, designed specifically for my fellow Christian entrepreneurs. And this week over on TSA Weekly, we're talking about something that I'm actually really passionate about because I see so many people, including myself, falling into this trap on a regular basis. And that is this idea that everything that we're good at, everything that we enjoy doing, should turn into a business. So if you find yourself doing that, make sure you go and watch that episode. But over here on Faith and Focus, we always look at the Bible to see what it might be telling us about the specific topic. And so this week, we're going to be talking about the Apostle Paul. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, so this episode might be kind of short and sweet, but I want to talk real quick about the Apostle Paul. As we know, Paul planted and served so many churches, and a good chunk of the New Testament are really letters that he wrote back to those churches, sometimes from a prison cell, sometimes right after he had visited or when he was planning a visit. But one of the things that always stood out to me as I was reading these different letters from Paul to these churches is how many times I saw him mention the fact that he never accepted money from them. I mean, he says that to the point sometimes where I almost felt like, okay, we get it. Like, why do you keep saying that? What, good for you. What's the big deal? And I'm not at all saying that it's bad for pastors or ministers to earn money from what they're doing. If you are full-time serving as a pastor, then I understand why you need to make an income doing that. You have to still support your family and all that. So let me just be clear about that. I'm not at all saying that everybody who serves in a church should be doing it voluntarily. Not what I'm saying. But I love how we see the example that Paul is setting for us as entrepreneurs. So he was an entrepreneur. He was a tent maker, and he supported himself as he traveled so that he could serve these different churches by being a tent maker in all those different places. And back in this time, I mean, being a tent maker was like being a contractor, right? Like they lived in tents. So many of them lived in tents that they needed that on a regular basis. So he knew that that was always going to be a reliable source of income. And it was something he was good at. And so he kept his focus there as far as his business. But when it came to speaking in the churches and spreading the gospel, he knew that that was his ministry. That was a gifting that he was given to serve the community, to glorify God, not to make money. And I am certain that he very easily could have supported himself doing that if he had wanted to. But he knew how important it was for him to keep his ministry and his business, his support, separate. One of the examples where he talks about this is in 2 Thessalonians 3, verses 7 through 9. And in the NLT version, it says, "For you know that you ought to imitate us. We were not idle when we were with you. We never accepted food from anyone without paying for it. We worked hard day and night so we would not be a burden to any of you. We certainly had the right to ask you to feed us or to ask you to pay us, but we wanted to give you an example to follow." I look at this and I see an application that, like, yes, just because I'm an entrepreneur and just because I'm a business owner and I make money by providing services to people doesn't mean that every single time I provide a service, I should get paid for it. There are differences. And we were talking over on TSA Weekly about this from a perspective of just protecting our creativity and, mental health and all of that by having creative outlets that are not obligations. But here I want to talk about it from the perspective of sometimes we're called to serve people, to meet them in a spiritual place. Even if what we do or what service we're providing does not seem like it's spiritual in any way, we are still meeting a spiritual need and we are still using our gifts to glorify God in that way. And so, again, I'm not saying that you can't earn money or support your family doing a ministry. I'm just saying that there may be things in your life that because you're an entrepreneur, your brain is telling you, oh, I should monetize that. But really, you need to step back for a second and ask yourself, is this something that I should be making a business, or is this something that really needs to be a ministry? I do think there's some nuance to this, though, because as a Christian business owner, a lot of what I'm doing as my business is kind of like a ministry because I am serving people in a way and showing them God's love through what I do, even if they're paying me. But there are just some things that we feel, and I think you know it in your heart when what you're doing is meant to be a ministry. And turning that into a business or trying to monetize it just doesn't quite feel right and probably isn't very successful because you're pushing up against how God is intending you to use that gift and that thing that you love doing. What do you think about that? Am I way off base here? Is everything meant to be a business? Is ministry never meant to be something that you get paid for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope this episode encouraged and inspired you. And if it did, please share it with another Christian business owner that could use the same encouragement. Thanks for being here. God bless you and your business. See you in the next episode.